Dr. Sophia Chen betrayed me again, 3 hours before the university documentary competition deadline. The familiar scent of burnt coffee from the linguistics lab microwave filled my nostrils as she delivered her verdict with surgical precision. Maya, your accent makes you unsuitable for academic voice work. She doesn't even look up from her laptop screen, fingers dancing across keys like she's composing my professional obituary. The documentary needs credibility. I clutch the USB drive containing months of meticulous research on regional dialect variations across Southeast Asia. My throat constricts, that familiar metallic taste of betrayal coating my tongue. This woman supervised my PhD dissertation on applied linguistics. She knows I'm a native English speaker who happens to carry traces of my Malaysian grandmother's intonation, traces that emerge only when I'm passionate about my subject. Sophia, I've been working on this narration for 6 weeks. My voice trembles despite my efforts to stay composed. The pronunciation guide alone took me 40 hours to perfect. She finally glances up, her expression radiating the kind of condescending pity that makes my skin crawl. I'm assigning the narration to Marcus. He has the right sound for academic work. Marcus, her golden boy who can barely distinguish between phonemes and morphemes, who stumbles over basic linguistic terminology like a first-year undergraduate. The same Marcus who's been shadowing my research sessions, taking notes on my interview techniques with the intensity of someone memorizing a foreign language. I force my hands to remain steady as I set the USB drive on her desk. The plastic clicks against the wooden surface, a sound that will haunt me for months. The technical terms are all phonetically marked. The interview subject specifically requested that Maya. She cuts me off with the sharp efficiency of a blade. You're being emotional. Academic objectivity requires a certain neutrality that your background simply can't provide. My background. As if my PhD, my research, my 3 published papers on sociolinguistic bias somehow evaporate because my vowels occasionally stretch in ways that remind her I wasn't born in her Connecticut suburb. 20 minutes later, I'm hunched over a coffee shop table 6 blocks from campus, laptop open, watching Marcus butcher my life's work through the live stream of the competition. His nasal voice grates against every carefully researched pronunciation guide I'd created. He pronounces phoneme as phoneme and stumbles through the Hokkien phrases my grandmother taught me, the ones that gave context to the dialect shifts we'd documented. The audience, professors, graduate students, linguistics enthusiasts, sit politely through his amateur performance. They don't know that every mispronounced term represents hours of interviews with elderly speakers whose dialects are vanishing. They don't know that the data he's presenting came from my late-night recording sessions in community centers across 3 states. My phone buzzes, a text from Sophia. Watching the stream, Marcus is doing beautifully. This is what academic excellence sounds like. I screenshot the message, adding it to a folder I've been building. A folder Sophia doesn't know exists yet. The documentary wins 2nd place. In the credits, I'm listed as research assistant under Marcus Chen. No relation. Just the cruel irony of sharing a surname with my advisor. Sophia takes the stage during the awards ceremony, her smile radiant as she accepts praise for mentoring such promising young researchers. I sit in the back row, applauding politely, tasting blood where I've bitten my tongue. 2 weeks after the competition, Sophia strikes again. This time, she targets my future. The Linguistics Society Fellowship Committee has concerns about your application. She slides a rejection letter across her desk, the university letterhead crisp and condemning. The afternoon sun streaming through her office windows creates harsh shadows across her face. They felt your work lacks the polish expected of our institution. I scan the letter, my heart sinking with each bureaucratic phrase. Insufficient methodological rigor. Questions about research originality. Recommendation for additional coursework before reapplication. I don't understand. My fingers shake as I hold the paper. Professor Williams from Harvard specifically requested my interview transcripts for his own research. Dr. Martinez cited my methodology in her latest publication. Sophia arranges papers on her desk with deliberate precision, each movement calculated to demonstrate her control. Sometimes we're too close to our own work to see its limitations, Maya. Perhaps this is an opportunity for growth. That night, I liberate my future from her hands. Sitting in my studio apartment, surrounded by transcription equipment and stacks of linguistic journals, I begin documenting everything. Every email where she's taken credit for my insights. Every meeting where she's subtly redirected my research to align with her publications. Every moment when she's used my accent as a weapon against my credibility. I install recording software on my phone. I create backup copies of all my research files, storing them in cloud accounts she can't access. I compile a timeline of her systematic theft, complete with timestamps and screenshots. The next morning, I appear in her office with coffee and a smile, playing the grateful student accepting wise guidance. She never suspects that my phone, sitting innocuously on her desk, is capturing every word. I've been thinking about your feedback, I say, stirring sugar into my coffee with practiced calm. You're right that I need to refine my approach. She beams, leaning back in her chair. I knew you'd see reason. That's what separates true scholars from those who merely stumble upon interesting data. Stumble upon. As if I hadn't spent 18 months building relationships with community elders, learning their stories, earning their trust enough to record dialects they'd never shared with outsiders. I'd love to learn more about your upcoming conference presentation. I continue, my voice honey-sweet with deference. The one about accent bias in academic settings. Her eyes light up. It's groundbreaking work, really. I've uncovered patterns in how linguistic prejudice manifests in educational environments. The data is extraordinary. Hours of interviews with subjects who've experienced discrimination firsthand. My subjects, my interviews, my grandmother's friends sharing stories they'd trusted only with me. I nod encouragingly, letting her elaborate on how she'll present her findings to the International Accent Studies Conference, how she'll discuss the correlation between accent perception and credibility assessment, how she'll recommend policy changes based on her extensive fieldwork. The recording runs for 47 minutes. Every word is legal in our state, single-party consent for research purposes. That evening, I contact my original interview subjects. Mrs. Tan, who'd shared stories of her children being mocked for their pronunciation. Mr. Lim, who'd changed his name from Ah Beng to Albert to escape linguistic prejudice. Mrs. Wong, whose accent cost her a teaching position despite her advanced degrees. I need you to sign something, I tell them over video calls. Something that protects your stories from being misused. They sign affidavits confirming that I, not Dr. Sophia Chen, conducted their interviews. They confirm the dates, the topics, the personal anecdotes they'd shared. Some offer to appear on camera to verify their statements. Mrs. Tan's weathered hands tremble slightly as she signs her name. That woman never spoke to me, La. You think I forget who listened to my stories? 2 days later, Sophia receives notification that she's been selected to present at the international conference. She celebrates with champagne in the faculty lounge, toasting her breakthrough research with colleagues who congratulate her innovative methodology. I smile and applaud with the rest of them, tasting victory sharp and sweet on my tongue. The anonymous ethics complaint I file that night includes 47 minutes of recorded confession, signed affidavits from 5 interview subjects, and a comprehensive timeline documenting research theft spanning 18 months. My phone buzzes at midnight, an unknown number with a London area code. Sophia discovers my betrayal 3 weeks later. The ethics investigation letter arrives on a Tuesday morning, and by noon, her retaliation begins with devastating efficiency. She fails my thesis defense. The methodology is fundamentally flawed, she announces to the committee, her voice steady despite the rage flickering in her eyes. This work appears to be borrowed from existing research with insufficient original contribution to warrant a doctoral degree. I sit across from her in the sterile conference room, fluorescent lights humming overhead like angry wasps. The other committee members shift uncomfortably as she systematically dismantles 2 years of my life. Dr. Peterson from the psychology department looks confused. Professor Kumar from applied linguistics seems disturbed by the accusations. Dr. Chen, Professor Kumar interrupts gently, I've reviewed Maya's preliminary work extensively. The interview methodology is quite innovative. Sophia's smile could cut glass. I'm afraid Maya has been generous in describing the extent of her involvement. Marcus Henderson, one of our most promising graduate students, can speak to the actual research process. Marcus enters on cue, his face pale but determined. He avoids my eyes as he takes the witness chair, as if not looking at me will somehow absolve him of what he's about to do. Maya was never the primary researcher, he states, his voice barely above a whisper. She assisted with data collection, but the theoretical framework, the analysis, the conclusions, those came from Dr. Chen's guidance. The metallic taste of betrayal floods my mouth again. I grip the edge of the table, feeling my carefully constructed academic life crumble around me. That's not true. My voice cracks despite my efforts to stay composed. I have documentation. Documentation can be fabricated, Sophia interrupts smoothly, especially when someone is feeling defensive about receiving constructive criticism. That night, I'm banned from the university recording studio. Equipment maintenance, the technical staff explains apologetically. Indefinite closure for upgrades. Without studio access, I can't complete the audio components of my dissertation. Without my thesis defense, I can't graduate. Without my degree, I can't pursue the fellowship that would launch my career. Sophia has cornered me completely, or so she thinks. I spend the next week in apparent defeat, moping around campus, letting colleagues offer sympathetic condolences about my setback. I play the broken graduate student perfectly, shoulders slumped, eyes downcast, the picture of academic failure. Meanwhile, I'm building my weapon, using equipment I purchased with my own money, microphones, digital recorders, editing software. I begin creating something Sophia never expects. I contact my interview subjects again, this time asking them to appear on camera for a new kind of documentation. Tell the truth about who interviewed you, I ask them. Tell the truth about whose research this really is. Mrs. Tan's face fills my laptop screen, her expression fierce with indignation. That Dr. Chen never came to community center. You think I'm so stupid I forget who asked me questions about my children's language? Mr. Lim nods emphatically from his living room in San Francisco. Maya, the one who understand when I speak about changing my name. She cried when I tell story about job interview where they say I too hard to understand. I weave their testimonies together with the original recordings, creating a counter-narrative that exposes not just Sophia's theft, but the broader pattern of accent discrimination in academia. The documentary becomes something larger than my personal grievance. It becomes a weapon against the systemic bias that almost destroyed my career. But I need a platform to launch it. That's when I make a phone call I've been avoiding for 3 years. Kevin, I say when my brother answers, I need a favor. Maya? Kevin's voice carries surprise and genuine warmth. Jesus, it's been what, 6 months since you called? I'm pacing my apartment, my phone pressed against my ear, surrounded by editing equipment and stacks of research that represent everything I've lost and everything I'm about to reclaim. I need to tell you something about why I chose academia over the family business. I pause, listening to traffic noise from his end. He's probably walking between meetings at Chen Media Productions, our family's documentary distribution company that has connections I've spent 3 years pretending don't exist. You wanted to make it on your own merit. His tone carries understanding and a hint of hurt. I get it, Maya. I never pushed because I respected that choice. My advisor doesn't know about our family. The words taste like confession. She's been stealing my research, blocking my career advancement, discriminating against my accent while having no idea that I could destroy her with a single phone call. Silence stretches between us, filled with years of my stubborn pride and his patient respect for my independence. What do you need? He asks finally. I explain everything. Sophia's theft, the blocked fellowship, the failed thesis defense, Marcus's betrayal. Kevin listens without interruption, occasionally making soft sounds of disbelief and anger. The London Documentary Festival, I say when I finish. Sophia submitted her stolen research for the Academic Excellence in Linguistics category. She thinks she's about to become internationally recognized for work that's entirely mine. Maya, Kevin's voice carries a smile I can hear through the phone. Chen Media Productions is a major sponsor of that festival. I'm on the selection committee for keynote speakers. My heart races as the full scope of my hidden power becomes clear. She has no idea what she's walking into. None whatsoever, he pauses. But Maya, are you sure? Once we do this, there's no going back. Her career will be over. I think about Mrs. Tan's tears when she described her children's shame about their pronunciation. I remember Mr. Lim's voice breaking as he recounted changing his name to escape linguistic prejudice. I recall every moment Sophia has wielded my accent as a weapon against my credibility. She ended her own career the moment she decided that my voice wasn't good enough for academic work, I say. I'm just going to make sure everyone knows it. The next morning, I receive a call from the London Documentary Festival Committee. They're interested in having me as a keynote speaker, a last-minute addition to discuss emerging trends in sociolinguistic research. Sophia, of course, has no idea. She sees only the struggling graduate student she's successfully marginalized, not the industry insider who's about to orchestrate her complete professional destruction. I spend 2 weeks in apparent despair, letting concerned colleagues witness my breakdown over the failed thesis defense. I skip faculty events, avoid the linguistics building, present the perfect picture of academic defeat. Meanwhile, I'm coordinating with festival organizers, arranging video links with my interview subjects, and polishing a presentation that will reveal not just Sophia's theft, but the entire system of accent bias that enabled it. 48 hours before the festival, Sophia sends me a text. Maya, I heard about the thesis situation. Remember, failure is just redirection toward your true path. I screenshot it and add it to my presentation folder. My phone rings, unknown London number again. This time, I answer. Dr. Patel speaking. The voice carries the crisp authority of someone accustomed to academic deference. I'm calling from the Linguistic Society regarding your fellowship application. My breath catches. The fellowship Sophia blocked 3 months ago, the one that would have launched my career before she systematically dismantled it. I understand there were some irregularities in the initial review process, Dr. Patel continues. We've received some concerning information about potential bias in the evaluation. Would you be available to discuss resubmission? I sink into my desk chair watching afternoon sunlight stream through my apartment windows. I'd be very interested in that conversation. Excellent. I'll be attending the London Documentary Festival next week. Perhaps we could meet there? The pieces of my revenge align with satisfying precision. I'll be presenting at the festival, perhaps after my keynote. Perfect. I look forward to hearing your presentation. After hanging up, I sit in my apartment's silence, tasting anticipation sharp and sweet on my tongue. Sophia thinks she's destroyed me. She has no idea she's walking into a trap 18 months in the making. The London Documentary Festival opens on a crisp October morning. I arrive early, checking my presentation files one final time. The venue is stunning. A converted Victorian theater with soaring ceilings and ornate balconies filled with the world's leading documentary makers and academics. Sophia enters the main auditorium like royalty, her black dress immaculate, her confidence radiating from every gesture. She's seated in the front row next to festival directors and other distinguished presenters. Marcus hovers nearby, his face pale with nervous excitement. She still doesn't recognize me when I'm introduced as the morning's keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the festival director announces, please welcome Dr. Maya Chen from Chen Media Productions, here to discuss authenticity in academic documentation. I watch the exact moment recognition hits her. Her face drains of color as she realizes that the struggling graduate student she's been tormenting is actually connected to one of the industry's most influential companies. Her mouth opens slightly, then closes, her composure cracking like ice under pressure. I take the stage, my voice clear and confident through the theater's excellent sound system. Good morning. I want to talk about what happens when academic institutions prioritize accent over accuracy, presentation over truth. The audience settles into attentive silence. In the front row, Sophia's hands clench in her lap. 3 years ago, I made a choice to pursue my PhD without leveraging my family's connections in the documentary industry. I pause, letting that sink in. I wanted to succeed on merit alone. What I discovered instead was a system that judges research not by its rigor, but by the accent of the person presenting it. I clicked to my first slide, a photo of my grandmother teaching me Hokkien phrases as a child. This woman taught me that language is living history. Every dialect carries stories of migration, adaptation, survival. When we dismiss voices because they don't sound academic enough, we lose those stories forever. The next slide shows my research timeline. Months of community interviews, hundreds of hours of recordings, meticulous documentation of dialect variations across Southeast Asian immigrant communities. This research took 18 months to complete. The methodology was innovative, the data unprecedented, the conclusions groundbreaking. I pause again, my eyes finding Sophia's terrified face, which is why it's so disappointing to see it stolen. Murmurs ripple through the audience. Festival organizers lean forward, suddenly alert. My next slide displays side-by-side comparisons, my original interview transcripts and excerpts from Sophia's conference submissions. Identical quotes, identical analysis, identical conclusions. Dr. Sophia Chen, my thesis advisor, submitted this research to your festival under her own name. My voice remains steady, professional, but everyone can hear the steel underneath. She never conducted a single interview. She never spoke to any of these community members. She never spent 18 months earning their trust. The theater erupts in shocked whispers. Cameras flash as audience members begin recording Sophia's reaction. She's frozen in her seat, her face white with horror as her professional reputation disintegrates in real time. But don't take my word for it, I continue, clicking to a new slide. Let's hear from the people who actually participated in this research. Mrs. Tan's face fills the giant screen behind me, her expression fierce with righteous anger. That Dr. Chen never interview me, she states clearly. Maya, the one who come to community center, who listened to my stories about my children's struggle with accent discrimination. Mr. Lim appears next, his voice carrying decades of accumulated pain and newfound hope. I changed my name from Ah Beng to Albert because employers say I too hard to understand. Only Maya understand why that hurts so much. One by one, my interview subjects appear via video link, each one condemning Sophia's theft while praising the young researcher who'd actually listened to their stories. The festival director stands, his face grim with professional outrage. Dr. Chen, do you have a response to these allegations? Sophia attempts to rise, but her legs betray her. She remains seated, her mouth opening and closing soundlessly as hundreds of phones capture her humiliation. Marcus jumps up instead, his voice cracking with panic. There must be some misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. My voice cuts through his stammering. I have recorded conversations where Dr. Chen admits to using my extraordinary data for her conference presentations. I have email trails documenting her systematic theft of my research. I have signed affidavits from every interview subject confirming that I, not she, conducted their sessions. The audience's murmur grows louder, more agitated. In the academic world, plagiarism is career suicide. Public plagiarism at an international festival is complete annihilation. The festival director's voice carries finality. Dr. Chen, your presentation has been removed from today's schedule. Security will escort you from the premises. As uniformed guards approach Sophia's seat, I deliver my final blow. Oh, and Dr. Chen? I pause until her terrorized eyes meet mine. The university dean is here today. Third row, center. He's been watching this entire presentation. Sophia's head snaps around to locate Dean Morrison, whose face reflects the same horror and disgust as the rest of the audience. He's already on his phone, undoubtedly calling emergency meetings about the public relations disaster unfolding before his eyes. As security leads Sophia away, her legs finally functioning enough to stumble toward the exit, I hear the sound that will haunt her forever. Hundreds of people applauding not her humiliation, but my triumph. The taste of victory is sweeter than I'd imagined. Sophia appears at my apartment at 11:47 p.m., 3 days after the festival. I know the exact time because I check my phone when her frantic knocking disrupts my editing session. Through the peephole, she looks like a ghost of her former self. Her usually immaculate hair hangs in greasy strands around her face. Her makeup has run and been hastily reapplied, creating a grotesque mask of desperation. She's wearing the same clothes she had on during her public humiliation. I open the door but don't invite her in. Maya. Her voice cracks on my name. Please, we need to talk. Rain drums against my apartment building's windows, creating a rhythm that matches my accelerated heartbeat. The hallway smells like industrial cleaning solution and her desperation-tinged perfume. It's nearly midnight, Sophia. I lean against my doorframe, arms crossed. What could we possibly have to discuss? You have to withdraw the ethics complaint. The words tumble out in a rush. The university is threatening to revoke my tenure. 15 years of my life, Maya. 15 years. I study her face, the red-rimmed eyes, the trembling lips, the way her hands shake as she clutches her purse like a lifeline. This is the woman who destroyed my thesis defense, who stole 18 months of my research, who weaponized my accent against my own credibility. You should have thought about that before you decided my voice wasn't academic enough. I was wrong. She steps closer, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. I was completely wrong about everything. Your accent, your research, your capabilities. I let my own biases cloud my judgment. Biases. I taste the word like spoiled milk. Is that what we're calling theft now? I'll make you co-author on all future papers. The offer explodes out of her like a confession under torture. Full credit, shared bylines, everything. I'll recommend you for every fellowship, every grant, every opportunity that comes across my desk. I almost laugh at the absurdity. You think I want to be associated with your name after this? She flinches as if I've slapped her. Maya, please. I made you a better researcher. All those challenges, all that criticism, it strengthened your methodology, sharpened your analysis. Without my guidance, your guidance? Now I do laugh, the sound sharp and cutting in the narrow hallway. You mean your systematic undermining? Your constant criticism designed to make me doubt my own abilities? Footsteps echo in the stairwell. Marcus appears, climbing the steps 2 at a time, his face flushed with exertion and panic. Dr. Chen, you shouldn't have come here alone. He reaches the landing, breathing hard. Maya, listen, if you'll just hear us out. Oh, Marcus. I turn my attention to him, enjoying the way he flinches under my gaze. Come to defend your mentor? Ready to tell more lies about who conducted my research? His face crumples. I never wanted to lie. She said if I didn't support her story, she'd make sure I never got my degree. She said you were trying to destroy the program with false accusations. False accusations. I repeat the words slowly. Like the 47 minutes of recorded conversation where she admits to stealing my work? Marcus's eyes widen. He clearly didn't know about the recordings. Sophia makes a sound like a wounded animal. Maya, you don't understand the pressure I'm under. The university expects constant publication, groundbreaking research, international recognition. I saw your work and I thought, you thought you could steal it because my accent made me seem like an easy target. No. But her protest lacks conviction. I thought collaboration, without my knowledge or consent. The silence stretches between us, filled only by the rain and the distant hum of traffic. I can smell their fear, sharp and acrid, mixing with the building's stale air. The dean wants to meet with me tomorrow, Sophia whispers. Emergency disciplinary hearing. They're talking about criminal charges for research fraud. As they should. My reputation is destroyed. Her voice breaks completely now. No university will hire me. 15 years of building credibility gone in a single presentation. I lean closer, my voice dropping to match hers. Good. She recoils as if I've struck her. You want to know what 15 years feels like, Sophia? Try asking Mrs. Tan about the 15 years she spent watching her children internalize shame about their accents. Try asking Mr. Lim about the 15 years he spent pretending to be someone else just to get job interviews. I'll public apologize, she pleads. I'll admit everything, make full restitution, do whatever it takes. No, the word lands between us like a closed door. Your career is over because of your choices, not my accent. Marcus steps forward desperately. Maya, I'll testify to the truth. I'll tell everyone that you were the real researcher, that Dr. Chen pressured me to lie. I'll do whatever you want if you'll just... If I'll just what, Marcus? Let her keep her job so she can do this to the next international student who doesn't sound American enough for her standards? The truth hits him like cold water. His face goes pale as he realizes I'm not just angry about personal betrayal. I'm fighting against a system that crushes people like me every day. There are others, I continue, watching understanding dawn in his eyes. Other students she's undermined, other researchers she's stolen from, other voices she's silenced because they didn't fit her narrow definition of academic credibility. Sophia's mascara runs in fresh streams down her cheeks. Maya, please, I'm begging you. I look at this woman who held my future in her hands and chose to crush it, who heard my voice and decided it wasn't worthy of academic respect, who stole my work and claimed it as her own. No, I say again and step back into my apartment. Maya, wait. I close the door. The deadbolt clicks with satisfying finality. Through the thin wood, I hear Sophia's sob echo in the hallway, followed by Marcus's awkward attempts at comfort. Their footsteps retreat down the stairs, leaving only the rain and the sweet taste of justice. My phone buzzes with a message from Kevin. Oxford University called. They want to offer you a visiting professorship. Interested? I smile, tasting victory and vindication in equal measure. 6 months later, I stand before a new thesis defense committee at Oxford University, my voice clear and confident as I present research that's finally truly mine. Dr. Chen, Professor Williams from Harvard says through the video link, your methodology for documenting endangered dialect variations is revolutionary. How did you develop such innovative interview techniques? I smile, thinking of my grandmother's patient lessons in earning trust, of countless hours in community centers learning that listening is more important than speaking. I learned from the best teachers, the communities themselves. The Oxford Committee unanimously approves my thesis. Not only do I receive my doctorate, but my research is recommended for publication in 3 major linguistics journals simultaneously. That evening, I'm recording the audiobook version of my published study in Oxford's state-of-the-art recording studio. The same voice Sophia called unsuitable for academic work now reaches thousands of listeners worldwide, teaching them about accent bias and linguistic discrimination. Language prejudice in academic settings, I read into the microphone, my Malaysian-influenced vowels and precise diction creating a voice that's both authoritative and warm, operates through subtle mechanisms that can destroy careers before they begin. Through the studio window, I see my research assistant, a brilliant young woman from Bangladesh who speaks English with the musical cadence of her homeland, preparing transcripts for my next project. When she'd emailed asking for mentorship, worried that her accent might limit her academic prospects, I'd invited her for tea and told her something Sophia never understood. Credibility comes from knowledge, not pronunciation. My phone buzzes with a Google alert. Sophia's name appears in a local Montana newspaper. She's been hired as an adjunct instructor at Butte Community College, teaching basic composition to first-year students. The article mentions her recent career transition, but carefully avoids discussing why a former university professor ended up in rural Montana. Marcus, surprisingly, has thrived. After testifying truthfully at the university hearing and publicly apologizing for his lies, he switched advisors and completed his degree in applied linguistics. His thesis, ironically, focuses on ethical research practices in academic settings. He sends me Christmas cards now, each one containing heartfelt apologies and updates on his work with immigrant communities in Detroit. The ethics investigation concluded with a scathing report that led to policy changes across 3 university systems. Sophia's tenure was revoked, her publications retracted, and her name permanently blacklisted from academic conferences. The university implemented new oversight procedures for thesis supervision and established an anonymous reporting system for research misconduct. More importantly, they created the Maya Chen Fellowship for International Students in Linguistics, a full scholarship program specifically designed to support researchers whose voices have been marginalized by accent discrimination. The first recipient, a young man from Nigeria whose precise English carries the rhythm of his Yoruba heritage, reminds me why this fight mattered. When he emails to thank me for making space for voices like ours, I hear echoes of my grandmother's wisdom about the power of persistent truth. The International Accent Studies Conference, where Sophia had planned to present my stolen research, now features an annual keynote address on research ethics. This year, they've asked me to speak about the responsibility academics have to amplify marginalized voices rather than appropriate them, and I accept, knowing that my voice, the same accent Sophia tried to silence, will reach hundreds of researchers who shape the future of linguistics education. On quiet evenings in my Oxford office, I sometimes replay the recording of Sophia's confession, not out of vindictiveness, but as a reminder of how far we've come. Her voice, admitting to theft while dismissing my accent as inadequate, serves as evidence that the system can change when we refuse to accept injustice. Mrs. Tan visits during my spring break, her grandchildren in tow. They listen with fascination as she tells them about the young researcher who valued their grandmother's stories enough to fight for them. Your voice matters, she tells the children in her mixture of English and Hokkien. Don't let anyone tell you different, La. I think of Sophia sometimes, teaching basic grammar in rural Montana, her grand ambitions reduced to correcting comma splices and run-on sentences. I don't feel satisfaction in her downfall anymore, just a quiet certainty that justice has been served. The taste of victory has mellowed into something deeper, the knowledge that my voice, my research, and my story have created pathways for others who sound like me, who carry their heritage and their pronunciation, who refuse to be silenced by academic prejudice. My grandmother would be proud. Her stories, carried in my accent and embedded in my research, have found their way into universities around the world, teaching new generations that authenticity sounds many different ways. In the recording studio, I finish the final chapter of my audiobook and lean back in my chair, surrounded by the technology that will carry my voice to listeners I'll never meet. Students and scholars and community members who need to hear that their accents are not obstacles but assets, that their voices matter in academic spaces that have too long privileged uniformity over truth. The microphone captures every nuance of my speech, the slight elongation of vowels my grandmother taught me, the precise consonants of my formal education, the confident rhythm of someone who has learned that credibility isn't about how you sound, but about what you have to say. Outside the studio window, Oxford's ancient spires catch the afternoon light, and I smile, knowing that my voice, once deemed unsuitable for academic work, now echoes through halls where scholars have debated truth for nearly 1,000 years. Some victories taste sweeter for being earned through persistence rather than revenge. This is one of them.